Hey, what's up guys? Gons here for the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel. Lots going on. It's pretty crazy out there right now. I wanted to talk about the Wikileaks, the emails that came from Edgar Mitchell to John Podesta. There were two of them. Let's take a look at it. A lot of people have talked about it already, but here it is. An email from John Podesta, CO Aaron, from Edgar Mitchell, RE meeting ASAP, from terrybillionaires@aol.com to john.podesta@gmail.com. And if you guys remember, John Podesta is the guy that said he regretted not releasing more UFO documents while he was helping out in the White House with the Clintons. So there's an ET connection there. And we've heard about Hillary saying she'll release the UFO documents if she's elected, and her history with the Rockefellers in connection to this story about the ETs makes this whole thing really bizarre. But when we look at the email, here's what it says. It is urgent that we agree on a date and time to meet to discuss disclosure in Zero Point Energy. And then it says, my Catholic colleague, Terry Mansfield, will be there too to bring up to date on the Vatican's awareness of ETI. Now I took a look at who Terry Mansfield was. Edgar Mitchell calls her a Catholic. But here's what I found. TerryMansfield.com is the ETI, Extraterrestrial Intelligence. Our mission, we educate humans about our work with our nonviolent, obedient to God, ETI, Extraterrestrial Intelligence, from the contiguous universe, whose mission is to work with our scientists to bring zero-point energy here for the purpose of extending life on our fragile Earth. 2, we fundraise with billionaires only for carefully selected 501c3s who are transforming society. Okay, so you go to the About Us section, and there's Suzanne and Terry. You go to Terry, and it gives her whole overview of who she is, and obviously right here it has the mention of Edgar Mitchell. In this capacity, she has worked closely with Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell, or Dr. Edgar Mitchell, setting the framework for them to meet first with former White House counsel John Podesta, then with President Obama on all ETI-related matters. So for some reason, they really want to get in with the president to talk to them about this whole ETI thing. And again, strange that she calls herself a Catholic or is labeled a Catholic. This is clearly in connection to all the things that's been talked about in these books. This is Petros Romanus, The Final Pope is Here, and this one, Exo Vaticana. And, they're both written by Tom Horn and Chris Putnam. And there's a lot of evidence in here. There's a lot of proof that suggests that the Vatican, the Catholic Church, they're in on this whole thing with the extraterrestrials. They have the Lucifer satellite, all that stuff. It's all connected. And what this email represents, or email shows, is that this is real. They're actually trying to get into the White House and inform and whatever they want to do with this disclosure. This is actually happening. Now here's the thing. This Catholic Terry Mansfield seems to be all about peace, seems to be all about getting along and all this stuff. That's great, and I commend her for that. The problem here is that we really don't know who these ETIs, or what they call ETIs, are. And in my opinion, I think the Vatican, they know they have some history, hidden history or whatever, with the Nephilim, the sons of God. That whole paradigm has been basically covered up by the Vatican, by the Catholic Church for centuries, because I think the Catholic Church very early on became basically the satanic arm. And, obviously I think individuals were genuine throughout, weaved in and out, but as an institution, obviously it's been taken over. It's been used by Satan. That's pretty obvious. So when we see something like this, this just screams great deception. Now, the idea of zero-point energy is really interesting. I think that technology obviously exists. I think it's been suppressed to some extent. And I think, I don't know if these people have access to it or have knowledge or information about it, but I think it's been built and being used by the elite, and the whole idea of a secret space program or a breakaway civilization, that's the kind of stuff I think that's really going on behind the scenes. And, ultimately, and I say this because, again, we're in this highly charged political time right now in America with the elections going on. I think when Hillary's elected, she is just right down the line, the agenda for the New World Order. I think they want to continue to disclose this information in a way that's culturally relevant to where people can accept it when it happens. I think Donald Trump, as evidence shows with the WikiLeaks documents as well, that Hillary and their campaign wanted Donald as one of their guys to go up against. I think with him, he's a little out of control, and they knew that it would just delay the New World Order agenda. Maybe that's good for the country for a little bit, but ultimately, I don't think that he is going to be able to overtake and overcome this storm, this big wave of satanic energy that is consuming the earth. And, you know, that's a cultural thing. That's a human heart thing. That's a spiritual thing. It's not going to be solved by legislation. It's not going to be solved by a president. So, you know, that's something that we have to look at as Christians, you know, and separate that knowledge with the fact that, hey, do we have a responsibility as Americans to vote? You know, not as Christians, but as an American. You know, I think you can separate the two, although they do overlap. And I think it obviously makes sense that you want to have the freedoms in this country to be able to practice our faith, to practice our religion. So, you know, this is, again, it's a messy issue, but I think ultimately the bigger picture here with these leaks and these emails, which there were two, I only talked about one today. I'll talk about the next one tomorrow, but it has everything to do with space, developing in space, and stuff that I think people would consider science fiction, but is actually happening. And that, to me, this sort of information that's out there, you can't ignore, okay? At a certain level, you have to address it in some way. And I think that within a lot of the Christian truth community, there's been a lot of dissension and fracture because this sort of information is becoming readily available. And what a time to break apart and distract the Christian truthers and other truthers in general from the stuff that's really happening, what's really important when this information starts to be exposed. I mean, they can't hold it in forever. So those are some of my thoughts on this first email. I'll get into the second email again in a video tomorrow. Hope you guys get something out of this. Let me know what you think about 0 point energy, about this email, and what it represents, what it means for the Great Deception and the ultimate fulfillment of biblical prophecy and the return of Jesus Christ, which, can't wait for that, right? I mean, seriously, Lord, please come back, because this world is going out of control, and we know that the Antichrist wrath is coming, and we just have to stay vigilant. We got to stay watchful, and you got to hold on to the word, because that's the only thing that's going to free us in this crazy time. Have an awesome day, guys. God bless.